Hey everyone, Simon. Welcome to my A3 workspace. Today I wanted to expose to you a few of the things that I like about A3s. I learned about A3s a couple of years ago and I've been using them since. I found 3 ways to overcome the complexities of A3s and just kind of get A3s into my everyday life. And then I wanted to share with you 4 different ways that I've used A3s here at Adobe to solve problems. So let's get started. 3 things that I've done to get A3s to be part of my day. The first is creating a space. I work over here. It's different, it's busy, and here is a different way of working. I can change my context. I can sit at this table and interact with a guest or interact with myself and author A3s. It's different, and it gives me a different place to work because A3s are a different way of thinking. Second is I've overcome the complexities of an A3. A3s are very visual. You've got to be drawing and visually describing the data and the problem. And I'm not a great artist, so I had to find ways to overcome that fear that I personally had of putting myself out there. And I did it by getting some crutches. I bought a box of stencils so that I can create quick and simple art that just makes it look a little bit better, a little bit more professional, and makes me more comfortable using it. I spent a little bit on some pencils and some erasers so I can iterate, and it's not always in standard lead color. I can color in different colors and I can make it a bit more clean and creative, and that gets my juices flowing. So those 2 reasons are ways that I've gotten better at using A3s. And the third is practice. I didn't start off as an A3 advocate. I went to the class, I went back and how am I going to use this? All right, I'll do one because I said I'm going to do one. And then I thought I could do another one in this particular situation and found another situation. And after I did a few, after I was practicing, I discovered that A3s really were contributing to some benefits to me personally. So practice made perfect, and now I feel much more comfortable engaging in an A3 conversation with different people. So I also said I was going to talk about 4 ways that I've used A3s here at Adobe. The first is the check-in. I have a team of people, almost all of them have also been to the A3 training, and together we have conversations and check-ins using an A3. A staff member can bring her A3, I can bring mine, and we can coach each other on those A3s, and through that we'll be able to understand what expectations we have of each other, we can give each other feedback, and we can continually iterate and evolve and improve how we check in with each other and check in around specific problems that we're working on. So A3s at check-in have been really helpful. The second is sometimes I get kind of frustrated with the work that I need to get done, and I get stuck. Now there's 2 things that I do when I get stuck. The first is to go outside for a run or for a walk and get some fresh air. That really clears my mind. But then I've got to focus my mind's frustrations on something. What am I going to do about this? Am I going to kick the can? No, I'm going to create an A3. So A3s have been really good ways for me to deal with the frustration sometimes of having big problems that I can't solve. If I get stuck, here's a way that I can look at a problem differently and maybe get over that wall or that hump or that frustration. The third, which is one of my favorites that I've used several times, is to use A3s for leadership alignment. Now, not all the leaders that I interact with have seen or created or used an A3 themselves. So working with them on sometimes their first A3 is quite an interesting challenge. Now, what I do is I identify several leaders who are all working on a common problem. I did this when I first joined the team that I'm on now. There's 5 other leaders, peers of mine, all working on a similar problem, but our perspectives were different. So I sat down with each one of those leaders and got their input in the form of an A3 on this particular problem. Everybody's A3 was different. They had slightly different takes on a similar problem. And the experience helped me expose those differences as well as similarities that we had. Then we together sat down, the 5 of us collaborated, took our 5 individual A3s and created a 6th, one that really described the problem holistically in a way that we could all agree on. So getting that leadership alignment also helped me introduce A3s to some new leaders and helped me use my A3 skills for some betterment of Adobe. And the 4th and last way of using A3s is to build coalitions. Interestingly, if you have an A3, people want to talk about it. I was walking back across the basketball courts here in San Jose, Adobe offices, and I had an A3 in my hand. In fact, an A3 that I created for another leader to help describe his problem. I was doing it for another leader in that same group the next day, so I could build some of that alignment across the 2 or 3 leaders that are working on this problem. I had this A3 in my hand, and somebody who knew me and knew that I did A3s noticed it and said, "Is that an A3 in your hand?" Yes, in fact it is. In just a minute, spending their time that they were willing to contribute to coach me or give me some feedback on that A3, they became personally invested in the problem. Somebody who has really very little to do with the problem that I was working on suddenly discovered a lot about it because of the A3 that I had. I had some passion around it. I had a document that could describe it, and they were interested in contributing to the improvement of this problem. It was really helpful in building some coalitions, because when you have an A3, people want to talk about A3s because it's a clean, visual way to help describe problems and get people working with you on those same problems. So today I've talked about 3 ways that you can get started with A3s. Create a location, get some stencils and pencils, and then keep practicing. And then 4 ways that I've used A3s at Adobe. I'm sure there's many more, and I hope you find some more and can share them too. Thank you.